This book is very polarizing, which makes no sense to me. I don't understand it.
Dragons are sweet angel babies that could do no wrong.
I tried to include all of the information, like names, for example, or places that would be relevant.
Of course, we are coming out with a deep dive on the Ballad of Falling Dragons.
Welcome to the Besties in the Books podcast, guys. I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley. And today we are doing our official deep dive on When the Moon Hatched by none other than Sarah A. Parker.
Finally. Oh,
you guys.
My God.
Did we read this originally for a book club?
I think so.
I think we did. I think that's when we read it. So if we, I think we talked about it on like a live, like a book club style, how we usually do with our virtual book clubs. That might have been one that got deleted. I don't know. Like by Instagram. I think that was back when we were on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't
Instagram
remember.
likes to delete like popular books. So it's great.
Weird.
Like as soon as we finish filming, it would just disappear, or halfway through, it'd get messed up and delete. So that's why we do it on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So make sure you're following us over there on YouTube for our, our book club talks. But we felt like we needed to do this book justice since we absolutely love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. We're obsessed with this book and we cannot wait for the Ballad of Falling Dragons. It comes out May 19th. And so that means this is a reread for both of us. So we feel even more prepared, even more knowledgeable with the reread now. But there's still things. There's still things that I know that we probably missed. But we will find out more when we read more.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, just the rereads are just always such a treat. Because it's like this time, the read and listen feature on Audible that exists now. That's amazing. Hopefully this really helps you guys out too. If, maybe you didn't have time to do a full reread and you want to recap before book 2 comes out, because there's a lot going on. I was telling Ashley, like, I didn't remember, like, 2 of the major plot twists that had happened. And so when I reread it, I was like, oh my God, imagine going into book 2 in a book and world this complex and, like, not doing a refresher. Good luck,
Yeah. Because it's been over a year. I know she kept pushing off the release date. So maybe a year and a half.
It's been
Has
a
it
while.
been 2 years?
I don't know.
No, it was it was October. It's been at least a year and a half, because maybe 2 years. Because we had recently read it when we went to When We Were Young Festival, October of 2024.
Crazy.
So I think that was like summertime of that. Dude.
So, So if you guys, need the refresher, this will be good.
Hopefully this helps refresh
the way
you.
that I have organized the summary, I think will be especially useful. I made sure to include specific things, since this was my second read, that I think will be extra important moving forward. There's a little bit of lore. There's a few Easter eggs. Hopefully you guys find that super useful. The first 15 minutes, as per usual, will be spoiler free, however, because we will just go into our basic star and spice ratings, and who we'd recommend it for. So definitely, that way, if you've been kind of like on the fence, because for some reason, ununderstood, I don't want to say unbeknownst to me, but ununderstood by me, and I think you as well, this book is very polarizing.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. But for some reason it is. I feel like you either love it with your whole chest or you don't. And there's not a whole lot of in-betweeners. So we will definitely be getting into that. But if you've been like kind of considering reading it, you're wondering what the hype is about, but you're kind of curious to just hear our basic thoughts, stick around for that beginning part, and we'll definitely let you know when we start getting into spoilers. But before we get into our deep dive, we just wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Seriously, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and your book. And if you're new here, please make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to favorite podcasts, including YouTube. We are Besties in the Books podcast everywhere, including Instagram and TikTok. And if you aren't new to us, welcome back. Thank you so much for jumping back on in. We're so excited to have you all. Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about this book in depth because holy moly.
Yeah. Leave us a comment. If you read this, what's your star rating on this? Let us know. You can also comment on Spotify if you're listening there. They do have that feature now. And of course on the YouTube video. I'm so curious, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? If you haven't read it yet, why not?
Why not? Did you,
are you worried? Because it is polarizing.
Yeah. I mean, even I would say like when, we were reading this for book club, And a lot of people were talking about it. I remember that a lot of people that I follow who generally I have very similar book taste with did not like it or DNF'd it. And I was very surprised by that. Yeah.
Yeah. Truly. Even with the reread, even more so confused.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into our spoiler-free reviews, should we just start off with a fave and fail dragon lore edition? So this could be literally anything dragon related that stands out to you, fave and fail. Why don't you go first today?
Okay, fail. Dragons? Dragons are sweet angel babies that can do no wrong, therefore I don't have a fail.
Sweet angel babies that can... Really? Really?
I couldn't think of any!
Like Onyx Shitstorm, for example?
That's not the dragon's fault.
It's not the dragon's fault.
They're the only redeeming quality of the series right now for me.
It's true. That's true. That's true. Could we just get a tear?
If there were no dragons, I wouldn't read it.
Good luck. Yeah, literally good luck. But it's like tangentially related. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could use it if you couldn't think of anything.
No, hot take. They saved the entire book.
I don't think that's even a hot take. I think that's like everyone knows Tyrion
hot take.
is the best character.
I only read it because it's dragons. There's people that love the characters, and that's fine. Good for you guys. I wish it was me, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay, I did find one dragon-like character I don't like.
Okay.
That's super creepy and gives the dragon name a bad rap. Therefore, I blocked it from my mind, but I searched up dragons to try to find one that I didn't like.
Okay.
In Monsters University, Dean Abigail Hardscrabble serves as the main antagonist and villain in that show. She's kind of like a weird dragon insect, super creepy. And she's an evil lady and annoying.
Wait,
so I don't like
is
her.
that crazy show that the girls were watching when I was at your house that one time? And I was like, who is this? Okay, because there was
this is literally Monsters Inc., Monsters University, the prequel. It's the movie.
I've never seen
Monsters University. So Monsters Inc. and then Monsters University is the second one, but it goes back to when they were in university. Okay. So this is the dean.
And you're sure that I didn't see it?
I don't know.
Because there was
my house, because the girls don't like Monsters Inc.
Oh, okay. Because there was like a creepy creature that like I don't even know what kind of creature it was, but I remember like being like, "What is that?" Okay,
literally, thank you. Because my daughters so many times I'll have them watch something that I liked as a kid, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so scary!" And then I watch what they watch, and I'm like, "This is 1,000 times scarier and looks more realistic than my weird chippy shows and movies. Give me a break."
Like literally, whatever it was,
I'm like.
No, it was like from Nightmares, like whatever it was, and they were watching it like no biggie, and I was like, is no one else like horrified?
Yeah, story of my life. Even K-pop Demon Hunters, I'm like, the villains are kind of creepy. Mm-hmm. The way they move, like, come on, the demons.
It's just different. It's just different. Mm-hmm.
Different generations, man. It's like chippy, so therefore they're scared of it. I'm like, okay. I can't relate because when I watch horror movies of like yesteryears, I'm like, this is cheesy.
Yeah, it's cheesy. It adds to the cheesiness. It makes it less scary, not more scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like they won't watch Snow White because of the old lady. She's creepy, but like, give me a break.
No, when was the last time? When was the last time you saw? You really paid attention to that lady? She's scary, dude.
Yeah.
She is, I will say. Like, The Witch in Snow White is scary.
Yeah, it's creepy, but not as creepy as some of the stuff that they watch. That's my point.
For sure.
It's like, I get it, but I don't.
So, who's your favorite? What's your favorite dragon lore?
How do I pick? I just love dragons. I love also what dragons do to the community, and it gets us all in a fun time zone, including how do dragons poo? Where do they poo? The amount of comments I still get to this day on our Dragon Poo reel, I just love. But no, I love like I said, dragons can do no wrong. I love them all, the sweet little angel babies that they are. How do I pick one?
You don't have one that stands out to you that, like, helped shape you as a human?
I get, like, a highlight reel of all the amazing dragons. Okay.
All right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falkor was the first dragon, right?
Yeah.
So many. The dragon in Lord of the Rings, Smaug. I feel like my head empties and blanks, but there's a lot. I love them through and through with all my whole heart.
Yeah, for sure. There's not enough dragons out there. Also, that's another thing.
There's a lot, but there's not enough.
Yeah, there's a lot, but not enough. Exactly. It's like I feel like there could be a lot more for sure. Like
I also love the moon plume when the moon hatched.
I
My dog is named
mean,
after Moon Plume. It's Molly Moon Plume.
Yeah.
So I love her dragons. I love the dragons in this book, guys.
Yeah. They're very
so
unique.
cool.
They're very
unique.
Cool. Yeah, moon plumes are awesome for sure.
Top tier.
Okay, so I'll just start with my fail. My fail was season 2 of House of the Dragon.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't watched any of that, so.
Although I will say the dragon battle. See, this is what I mean when I say there's dragons everywhere, but seemingly not enough dragons. The dragon battle episode, I can't remember which episode it was. Sorry, guys. If you've watched it, you know what it is. But there is a specific episode where there's a big battle, and it was like one of the freaking coolest things I've ever seen, because you don't see, with the technology we have now, full on dragon battles on TV. Like, that makes us sound so nerdy, but it's so true. It's like, it was just so cool. It was heart-wrenching. It was amazing. It was visually stunning. It was so awesome. So, although as a whole, House of the Dragon season 2 was a fail for me, as I think it was for a lot of you guys, I'm looking forward to season 3, but season 2 was like, what's going on here? Like, it was a snooze fest. That particular scene was insanely good. So that's cool. As far as the shout out I have to give, because I also love dragons, they're great, whatever, just in general. But the shout out I have to give, I put two down. So the dragon that made me, you would think that it would be Falcor. You would. Or Smaug. You would. But actually, the dragon that made me was the Sean Connery dragon, Draco from Dragonheart.
Dragonheart. Yeah.
The way I was obsessed with that movie and would watch it over and over and over and over. And I actually watched it somewhat recently again, and it is still great. Yeah. It's like so ingrained in my brain that now, like, whenever I hear the voice of like a dragon from a book in my head, it sounds like Sean Connery now. Yeah. It's like, I love it. It's just the voice of a wise man or male dragon. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, so that did something to my brain chemistry for sure. Obsession on a different level as a child that it has expanded into all of this. So here we are. Yes. And then I did have to give a little shout out to the live action version of How to Train Your Dragon that came out obviously pretty recently. Not a dragon, but Gerard Butler playing the dad was top tier. So
drag-tentially related.
Exactly. Yeah. I know a lot of us were happy about that when we saw that.
They did a great job with that one.
Great job. Yeah. What a lovely time that was. What a time.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so should we just give our spoiler-free reviews of When the Moon Hatched?
They're going to be so surprising.
Yeah, I know.
Hit us with it.
This is an Infinity Star read for sure. So 5 stars. Yes. Since that's the highest it goes, technically. But yeah, I looked back, I was pretty positive I rated it 5 stars last time. I did. So this was a 5-star last time, 5-star Infinity Star this time. No notes. It was perfect. The world building, the magic system, the twists, the turns, the characters. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, this would make an insane show or miniseries.
Yeah. Insane.
Like, literally so amazing. To be able to see a moon plume, like, come to life would be, like, life-changing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, I obsessed with it. I really, maybe you can help me out with this. I was struggling between a 2 and a 3 spice for this one, because it's not very frequent, but I felt like the times that we did get spice were, like, intense in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, if you waffle back and forth?
I'm no spice girl, but I would say 2.
Yeah.
Because for the length of the book, it's not frequent. And the scenes don't go on too much. The one scene that goes on longer, it also gives a lot of information during that time. And then nothing that I can remember in those spicy scenes being triggering. So
No, for sure.
I think that's a 2.
Okay. Yeah. Let's settle on a 2. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely like depending on what you read and what you've come to expect, it could probably go one way or the other. But yeah, we'll settle on a 2 just because, yeah, not triggering. Very, very important to plot movement. Yeah. So, all right, we'll settle on a 2. So what do you think as far as your spoiler-free review?
Oh, very similar. 5 stars last time. Still a strong and hard 5 stars this time. The reread just gave me even more. And like I have said so many times, when I reread fantasy, I used to expect, oh, I'm going to get bogged down and it's going to just feel monotonous. No, you're finding out more information that you either forgot or didn't realize was important till later. You're picking up other Easter eggs, and it was incredible. And our FMC is just such a badass from the beginning.
She's great.
Right out the gate, you're hooked in, which with this kind of high fantasy, in my experience, you're not always sucked in right at the beginning. Sometimes it takes the first 75% to get into it. I'm into it from the freaking get-go.
Yeah,
that's
for
why
sure.
it's hard. It's hard that I don't understand why not everybody loves it, but different strokes for different folks, I guess. But there's like, it almost feels, maybe that's why, but like it feels like there's different parts to the story, even though it's all one big story. But you're like thrown in, you know, at this crazy, you know, formative time, and it's just so good. So I love it. Do you like dragons? Read it. Like, do you like fantasy? Read it. Do you like a badass FMC? Read it. Do you like twists? Read it. Like, I don't know. Hey, slide into our DMs. Let us know. If you read this book and you didn't like it, why? Why not?
Just to play devil's advocate for a second, because same thing. Like, I would recommend it for all those people. The MMC Kaan is, I texted Ashley about this. He is incredibly underrated.
Yes.
Like, if you're talking book boyfriends, like, what?
And we'll go into spoilers of why in a minute, because, oh my gosh.
He's like right up there with Slade Ravenger, and I fear he's only going to become better in book 2, okay? So, yeah, I feel like, there's that also, if you want to meet your new book boyfriend who literally is like so good. But yeah, to go back to what I was saying before about playing devil's advocate, I will say the world building and the magic system and the political conniving, you know, it's complicated. It's complicated. Yeah. It's not easy. It's not an easy read. And I could see how, like, me reading it the second time, I realized how much I missed the first time.
Yeah.
As I was making notes for this episode, you know, we've got dual timelines going on. We have several different kingdoms. We have flashbacks. We have more characters in this book that are relevant than I think we've had in probably any book that we've covered. So I could see how that would be very intimidating going into it. But just as we would give you this advice for going into like Crescent City, for example, you know, I think the best thing you can do is just don't overthink it. Go into it, read it, and enjoy it. And then if you decide you want to pick up on all those finer details, then yeah, use your tools. Like I think Ashley's getting ready to pull up the index and all the useful info that Sarah Parker provides us with. And do a reread if you can. Because you're going to be able to fill in a lot of those blanks. But it is a complicated book. There is a family tree also that I didn't notice the first time I read it at the end of the book as well. And I think that is she includes it at the end because you don't want any spoilers. It would be very similar to like, you know, looking at the whole Game of Thrones family tree before you finished it.
Okay, I can't remember now. I think I first read it on Kindle because I don't think the paperbacks were even out yet. Because she got picked up into Trad. Sarah A. Parker's been around for a little while, and she got picked up into Trad Publishing. So I'm pretty sure it was harder to get your hands on When the Moon Hatched physically when it first came out. We might have caught it at like one of those times where she pulled it and then re-released it.
I think that's what happened.
Because I didn't have my hardcovers for a couple months, and then I bought all the beautiful editions also.
Right.
So I think on Kindle, the glossary was right at the beginning originally. Yeah. For this edition of whatever book I have, this might be the one that was traditionally published with the dragons on the side. I don't remember. But The glossary is in the back. So with that said, the family tree, the glossary, they are all in the back. I remember reading it for the first time on Kindle and being like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to remember this? This is crazy. Holy moly. You don't have to memorize it. I would skim through it, have that knowledge, know that it's there, including a pronunciation guide in the very back. And in other book versions, it might be in the front. But just know that don't get bogged down. If you're still on the fence about where the story will unfold. It's nice to have like a brief, like what are moon plumes? Like what are molten moths? And like what's the slumber mean? What's a phase? You can look through it, but don't get bogged down by it. I think somebody gave us that same tip that had already read it for us. Like, hey, check this out, but don't get stressed about it. And that helped because you can definitely get lost if you would go into it knowing nothing. But you could also get freaked out if you try to memorize all that.
Yeah. Don't overthink it. Don't try to do that. That's too much for any of our brains.
Give it a brief once over.
Well, yeah, if you're like, or just think about it this way too. If you're like, wait, what is this? I feel like this is important, but I can't remember. Just flip to the glossary really quick, read the quick definition, and then move on. You know what I mean? It's like, don't worry about memorizing everything, but just know that you are not alone in the sense, like, we're very seasoned fantasy readers, and I will be the first to admit that this is a doozy. So, like, don't feel like, we're gaslighting you. Like, oh, this book is so easy. Don't worry about it. No, it's complicated, for sure. Yeah. And so, but that being said, it's worth it if you can, put that analytical side of your brain just, like, to the side for a second and just try to, like, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Because it'll all unfold as you go. And it's sometimes you need the context to like really grasp it too. Yep. For sure. Yeah. So shout out to Jasper, Coffee and Crack Spines. I think she's the one that actually gave me this version because she knows how much I loved it. So thanks, Jasper. Still cherish it.
I know. I just realized because my copy's from Fairy Loot.
Yeah, I have that one
behind
too.
me. Yeah,
they're so pretty. I'm so obsessed.
Well, I'm pretty sure I ordered Ballad of Falling Dragons on their pre-order, but like it always takes so long to get everything. I'm like, I don't remember what I did, so hopefully it comes in the mail at some point.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely did. Oh, and each one has different artwork. All the editions, guys, it's so pretty. I'm gonna just look real quick. Okay, so yeah, this is actually the traditionally published one that's just teal. That hardcover, the glossary is at the beginning. So yeah, I can see somebody picking up and being like, because it's long, guys.
Yeah.
I can see somebody picking it up and saying, what? I'm not doing this. Flush thread? The flourish? Gondra? Like, what is the Undercity unveiling ceremony? Wheeled Tuka trial? Velvet Trog? Like, it goes into a lot of information that you're going to just find out while you're reading it, you know? So I do love a good pronunciation guide. Not that I ever remember, but
totally.
Hey. So don't get scared.
Don't get scared, or get scared and then do it anyway, and just be like, all right, I'm scared, but I'm accepting it, and I'm just going to see how this goes because it's so good. We're just going to let it happen.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, Ash, should we get into the spoiler section, the quote unquote 5-sentence summary, shall we?
I'm a dragon. I'm going to bring spoilers. So don't get spoiled on this. Hopefully we sold you and you're going to get to reading. You can listen to the audio if you want. Honestly, though, as a reread, I would recommend the audio, but I would not necessarily recommend doing audio for a book like this for the first time. I would physically read it. I'm glad I did it the way I did it.
Same.
So,
yep.
Or do the read and listen, on Audible, that it can follow along because it is a lot. We're not going to lie. It's not easy, like Liz said. It is a lot. So unless you just are amazing at picking up all the details audibly only.
Yeah. But it's not like if someone came up to me and they're like, I've never read a fantasy before. What would you suggest? I wouldn't be like, read When the Moon Hatched. Yeah. That's not what I would recommend. You know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, definitely we see you and we understand. And yeah, doing the audio, because I did the read and listen for my reread, but I read it on Kindle originally as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Plus it's nice to be able to highlight easily and make notes and like all that kind of stuff if you want to.
For sure. But spoilers from here on out, save it to your playlist. We'll see you later if this is goodbye for now. And those of you who have read it and everything, of course we are coming out with a deep dive on the Ballad of Falling Dragons.
I can't,
so stay
after
tuned for
finishing this, I'm like, I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to freaking out, man. I'm freaking out. Okay.
Freaking out.
But I mean, hey, at this point, as we're filming this, we only have to wait like what, another like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, hey, not too bad. Okay. So here we go. The 5-sentence summary of When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. So this is what I did for this 5-sentence summary, because we're dealing with multi-POVs again. We're dealing with multi-timelines this time. So.
Okay, so did you do that thing where you like split it up into different
I did, but I did it
summaries?
differently this time. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a musical instrument when you're all done.
Yeah.
We need to pay attention to this one because it's
there's a lot of
heavy
information.
duty. No joking around, you guys.
No joking
you
around.
just do your thing. I'm just gonna listen, and you let me know when that's it, and then I'll give you a treat. Okay.
Okay. And I tried to do my best to include, since this is a recap for book 2. Okay, I tried to include
Book 1. Oh,
it's a
4.
recap
Sorry.
before we go into book 2. Yeah. I tried to include all of the information, like names, for example, or places that would be relevant. So I'm not saying that it's like I'm perfect and I didn't miss anything. Okay. But I'm saying that like if something I have a very strong inkling is going to be important for book 2, it's in this summary intentionally.
Yes.
Okay. So what I did
Hit us
was
with that recap. Let's go.
well, I separated it into current timeline, Raeve. Okay. But then there's also previous timeline, Raeve. So technically, Elwyn. Okay. She has her own 5-sentence summary. And then there's a separate one that includes Kaan, Vea, and the Scavenger King.
Okay.
All together, like in one.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with Rave's current timeline.
Okay.
Raeve is an undercover assassin and vigilante worker for the Fjord de Ath rebel group living in Gore, a part of Erythia ruled over by the evil king Tyroth Vagor, a man who conscripts all Fae against their will into his brutal army, who wield powers given to them by the 4 elemental gods representing ground, water, air, and fire. The 5th, Callus, was trapped inside the Aether Stone and is worn on a diadem by the Princess Kizari, an heir to the Shade Realm's throne, and over the centuries worn by the female sitting on or heir to the throne. Raeve is brought in to stand trial by Rek Zaros, a bounty hunter for King Tyroth, but in the process tortures her and kills her closest friend Essie, so she swears to get her revenge. A hooded stranger who she met during one of her undercover jobs ends up being King Kaan Vagor, brother to the tyrant twin kings Tyroth and Kadok, whose mother died in childbirth and whose father he murdered himself. He rescues her even though she hates him, having his gigantic saber-sith dragon, Raigon, pretend to snatch her off of her sacrificial pyre to feed her to younglings, but instead dumps her in the burn where he helps her become well again and starts to reveal parts of her past slowly. They are drawn toward each other and bond, but she ultimately runs away anyway, not understanding, remembering her past fully, or being open to this dynamic. Due to a storm and her dulled powers, she falls down a cliff and into a river that dumps her into the territory of the Jakul warriors, the most elite band in the world that Kaan trained with. A fate herder creature appears and pushes her to go to their camp, where they tell her it was prophesied that she would come there to create offspring that would prevent future moonfalls, the catastrophic phenomenon where dragons who have died and become moons plummet back to Earth. She challenges the warrior who is vying for her bond, refusing to lose her freedom, and is winning the battle when he cheats and poisons her with a snake. But just in time, Kaan arrives, battles Hawk in her stead, and wins. Then they travel back to his kingdom in the burn to heal. When Raeve wakes up, she decides to leave because she isn't being held prisoner and wants her revenge on Rek. But before she can go, she explores the city and sees that Kaan's people are living really good lives, happy to exist there, and that he is nothing like the rumors or his brothers. He removes her iron cuff, hums her special song when she is overwhelmed by Rain's intensity now that she has her elemental powers back, and takes her to see Slatra, her moon plume that fell from the sky that he's been piecing back together for the last 25 years since she fell. He tells her about Elwyn, his lost love that died. Elwyn, Raeve, Navon. Her. Raeve can't accept all of this new information, so she plans to finally leave, but is drawn to a hidden, secret dwelling in the jungle that she realizes used to be theirs. She lives there for about a month and is starting to live instead of just survive, opening her heart to Kaan when they spend time together, but explaining to him that she can't fall for him because everyone she loves dies, so she plans on having him wiped from her memories after their time together. He tells her he loves her and refuses to accept this after waiting for her for 125 years. But before they can come to a resolution, Rex Zaros shows up searching for Princess Kazari, who is now missing. Raeve bonds with his abused Moonplume Leary, adopting her as her own, and follows Rex to neutral territory after he leaves with Kaan's blessing and tortures him and kills him. Such a good chapter. Okay, so that's 5 sentences for Raeve, current timeline.
All right. You get the music at the very end.
Okay, I got my reward. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 5-sentence summary, current timeline also for Kaan, his sister Vea, and the Scavenger King. Kaan secretly meets with his niece, the Princess Kazari, who wears the Aether Stone, and she tells him that she wants his help freeing Kylus, who is trapped in the stone, because she can hear him and she's in love with him. But Kaan refuses because it'll kill her to remove it. Vea, Kaan's sister and a badass warrior, discloses certain information when having a conversation with Pyrock, one of their most trusted warriors. They've been putting together an army to challenge their father and Tyroth, a sort of rebellion. Raeve was actually stabbed to death, which is not how they thought she died. And Vea will be traveling to the Shade to find Eluin's diary to find out the truth of her final days in order to discover whether she betrayed them for real or not. Mm-hmm. She travels to Gore to bargain with the Trog, who now has the bangle she was given many years ago by a mind weft who told her that it would serve her in 2 ways, which would both be painful but necessary. She trades her mother's Malmur and gets it back and uses it to disguise herself using glamour magic to help her find Eluin's diary. Kaan goes to investigate why Rek has arrived in the burn and finds out that Tyroth sent him to look for his missing daughter, Princess Kazari. Rek also brings his damaged Moonplume, who Kaan adopts because he was abusing her, and Raeve bides her time, sitting this confrontation out because everyone thinks she's dead. But after they leave, she scales the cliff and bonds with Leary. They heal her, and then Kaan lets Raeve go so she can follow Rek into neutral territory to kill him. Vea uses her bangle to glamour herself to look like a servant who just so happens to be Tyroth's mistress carrying his secret baby in order to find Rave's journal. She does and discovers that Kazari is Kaan's child and Eluin did everything to save them all. Meanwhile, Princess Kazari is being held in a dungeon by the Scavenger King, the secret half-brother of the Vaegors who wants his revenge and rightful claim to the Burn throne.
Ugh.
Guys.
Yeah. Jeez.
Dude. Okay. So that's everything that's happened present day. So in order for that to make sense, obviously we have to know what was happening in Eluin's diary in the past before she died and got taken up into the sky with her Moonplume. Okay. 9-year-old Eluin lives in Erythia and is watching her mother struggle to carry the heavy black stone in her crown. She wants a Moonplume dragon, but can't have one until she's 18. So when her brother Haedion wants to travel to Nethryn to steal a Moonplume egg, she sneaks into his sleigh to go with him to get her own. Haedion gets his Moonplume egg, but is snuggling with it and can't move his legs, so Eluin wants to save him. The mother Moonplume is hunting them, and somehow she manages to climb on top of her and bonds, carrying Haedion and his baby dragon back to their home. Her brother will never walk again, and his dragon can't fly because they were attacked by other monsters while they were hiding, but she is now revered and can speak to all of the elemental gods, and she is able to start getting her brother's dragon to fly. So she's got all these powers. That's so exciting. Okay. Eluin is now 18, and the kings want to negotiate a deal to marry her off to one of the Vaegor sons. She doesn't want to, and her dad actually agrees, so her entire family is poisoned and killed. But she was out sleeping with the dragons, so she lived. Now she has to wear the diadem with the Aether Stone. Her parents' dragons burned their bodies, and Haedion's took him to the sky and solidified into a moon.
Oh.
Her advisors tell her that the people of her country won't accept a queen weakened by the Aether Stone unless she is bound to someone wielding at least 2 elements, and that her fate will be decided by the Tri-Council because she's also too young to rule, and she is captured by Kaan's dad. Then she is captured by Kaan's dad, King Ostern, and is being forced to marry one of his other sons, Tyroth. Her moon plume, Siatra, follows her to the new kingdom in Dom across the Baltanic plains and goes blind and burns through her wings in the process. But in her insane grief, she meets Kaan and Vea, and they're kind to her, taking care of her and teaching her combat training at Drak Academy. She and Kaan become close, falling in love, making their secret home in the jungle and conceiving a child he didn't get the chance to know about. When all 4 siblings are gone to train, the king threatens Eluin and tells her that if she doesn't do the binding ceremony with Tyroth, that he'll kill Vera and Kaan and will let her dragon die. And he also tells her she's pregnant, so she leaves to save their lives, not telling him about the baby, but leaving a note telling them that this is what she wants, to be with Tyroth. And she dies there, weak from the Aether Stone, after giving birth to Princess Kazari, another firelark. So crazy. I like how you're just feeling it. You're just going. Not quite as soothing as Kaan's music.
Yeah, sorry.
However,
here, I'll give you this.
Still nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's more like
It's got a vibe for this story, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, dog.
So much happens.
Wow.
So much happens.
Good job. Good freaking job, really. Seriously. Seriously, Liz. Thank you. For putting into words that chaos, because it was crazy. Like, I get that too. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's woven, you know? So.
Well, yeah, because you're going back and forth and, like, you're not really sure what's going on for a while. Like, the first read, it's like you obviously don't know that they're the same person in the beginning. So it's like, you're like, what's going on over here? Who's this lady? Like, how is this connected? So, yeah, I could see how, like, going into it knowing that from the beginning, it just makes your perspective so much clearer, I think, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was into it from the beginning when I knew nothing, but I can get how it's chaotic and almost disjointed, but I think once you get to a certain part, you're like, it's all intentional. I think people, maybe that's why it's a DNF or a low rating, is they don't realize how intentional all of it is, perhaps, maybe. So, I don't know. Yeah. Just speculating. So in case that wasn't enough, let's go over a quick character breakdown. I apologize in advance for the pronunciation, but definitely check out that glossary guide if you need some help like me. But here we go. So we have our main FMC, Raeve, sometimes known as Leary, aka the Firelark, aka Eluin Raeve Nevin. Eluin's original dragon was Slatra, and then we have Hadion, her brother, and his dragon, Alam. Then we have Nathi and Akuri, Eluin's parents' dragons. Of course, we find out our MMC is Kaan Vagor, and then his dragon's name is actually Rygon. He is a saber Sith. Unfortunately for Kaan and most of the people involved, his family kind of sucks for the most part, with a couple of exceptions. So we have King Ostern Vagor, that when he died actually is what allowed Kaan to be able to become king of the Burn, but his brothers seemingly both equally suck. So we have King Fade, which is Kadok Vagor, the evil brother that is tri-beaded, and then we have the Shade, Tyroth Vagor, an evil brother. That wasn't enough. We find out about another awful brother, a half-brother, illegitimate brother, if you will, that goes by the Scavenger King, Arkin Vagor. So he's somebody to watch out for. He definitely sucks already, but you never know. Maybe there's an untold story. But luckily, the sister comes in and totally redeems, not the whole family, but at least herself. She's awesome. So we love Vea. She's wonderful. She is not only an amazing sister, but a good friend to Raeve. And of course, we find out that Princess Kazari is not just a niece. It's actually Kaan and Rave's biological daughter. So I can't wait to see that unfold in the next book. There's a couple other characters. There's a lot. There's a million more characters, but those are the ones that we wanted to touch on. Of course, we have Rake Zoros, bounty hunter with the moon plume that he abused, but thankfully we all know he got what was coming. And then we have some other people that might show up again, like the shopkeeper, like Ada, which is Tyroth's mistress, that's carrying his quote-unquote illegitimate child. So lots of characters to watch out for as well, but those were the main ones that I wanted to make sure we refreshed you on. Overview of the gods. So we have the aether god Kalis, the ground god Boulder, so those are the ones that are like opening up the ground and things like that. Then for water we have rain, that's definitely the easiest one to remember in my head. Air is Claude, and fire is Igno. So it is said that Raeve might be the one that carries all 5 of those. And as far as we know right now for dragons, we have the Saber Siths, which is the Burn and Gondra. We have Molten Maws, which is the Fade and Bogath. This is so hard for me, you guys. And then, of course, one of our favorites, Moon Plumes from the Shade and Netherin. Hopefully that's helpful as a quick verbal update and character list. But of course, like we mentioned, the glossary is everywhere. If you don't have a physical copy, you can definitely Google the glossary, the family tree, all of that to get a better pronunciation guide and detail than what I can offer. But hopefully that helps. I know it helps me kind of wrangle it all in because it sounds like a lot of information, but I think it'll unfold very beautifully with the next book as well.
All right. What about tropes you loved, Ash?
Oh, goodness gracious.
There were so many. I loved all the tropes.
Everything.
Hey.
The one that stuck out to me and like why I love this book, I just feel like she did so well. Hidden Identity. It was great.
Yeah.
So
that's
satisfying.
what I put. That was my first one. Chosen One and Secret Identity.
Yeah. And so satisfying. And like you understand why, you know, and it's hard and it's messy and I love it. And then bonded pairs, specifically between dragons and humans. I love that. I love that. Like dragons, we talk a lot about dragons already, but like they're big, but they're not constantly discussed.
Well, they're normalized in their society. Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like all the different, you know, the burn, the shade, you know, whatever. It's like they all have dragons.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing is there's different, depending on what geographical location you live in, you have a different kind of dragon that's obviously adapted to the weather, etc. But it's not uncommon for people to bond with them. It's not uncommon for people to ride them. They're even used in regular commerce and transportation.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. It's not like, they're not rare, but they are very powerful and specific to the region that they're from and important also. Yeah.
And they're intentional, and it's not like, okay, here, they're giving us a dragon just to satisfy it. No, it's like all part of, it's all entwined with the lore. The dragons. Yeah. The moons are literally the dead dragons. Like everything is connected to dragons, but it doesn't mean that you're not hearing dragon monologue, you know? So it's different in that way. So I just loved that so much.
Well, it's a whole world that functions around like the base assumption that dragons exist. So it's like they even, you know, depending on where you live, they're even dealing in, you know, dragon blood or dragon scales or, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the currency. So it's very like they're a core part of like the whole society.
Yeah, for sure. So very cool. And then the last one that I put that stuck out to me was just tragic love. Like all those three things are what made that book for me, made me fall in love with it so much. So tragic.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I put Secret Identity and Chosen One. That's huge for sure. I cannot wait to see where that goes because we do not really know, aside from being able to wield the 4 elements, what it means to be a firelark.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know that she passed that down to her daughter.
Yeah.
So we know that Kazari is also a firelark, but what does that really mean? We also obviously have those couple chapters that are told through the eyes of the other, right? That's what it's called, quote unquote, the other, which is basically like her beast or like we don't know yet if that's a metaphor or if it's real.
Yeah.
Like, or at least that's how I wrote it, where it's like, you know, she has so much trauma and so many things that she's been through that, you know, this is the place that she shoves down all of her trauma to keep herself a sane, functional person. And she'll black out and this beast will take over and do things like, you know, torture and kill Rexaros, for example. Is it actually a creature? Does that have something to do with
Is it a possession?
Is it a possession?
Is it one of the gods?
Exactly.
Is it a split personality as a trauma response? So, yeah.
Right. And I loved that because it could be so many more things and ties into trauma healing, which is one of my favorite parts of this book as well. Yeah. How she and Kaan work through that. I mean, Kaan, again, top tier. I don't know how that, like, rereading it, I'm like, I don't know how that dude is, like, is sane. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then, obviously, star-crossed lovers, fated. I think that's what it is. They're enemies to lovers. They're star-crossed lovers. They're fated mates. Like, it's like she's taking all these tropes, but then making them all represent the same couple. And
Yeah.
so they get to go through all these different iterations of their relationship, past and present. And it's like
Whoa.
top tier.
And I love that it's enemies to lovers for her, but it's like never enemies for him. And, you know, like how hard it would be to not push her to remember, like how jarring it would be to find someone you think is dead, alive and well. They don't remember you, but it's definitely them. And like how you would navigate that. So seeing him and even the sister and the found family basically trying to help her without pushing her, because that they know that won't work either. And how painful that would be.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It would be crazy. And I mean, I put the increments of time in years because it's basically like the same thing. But like, so my understanding is that the moon fell 25 years ago, but she was up there for an additional 100 years, right? Did I get that right?
Good luck with me in years. Sorry about that.
That's the way that I read it. And I even went back and like double checked it because I was like, I feel like I'm having a hard time understanding this timeline, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'm pretty sure that it's like she died 125 years ago, you know, whatever, or their equivalent to whatever that is. 125 years, because they're Fae, obviously, so they live for a long time.
Yeah.
125 years ago, and that's when, you know, she died. Her moon plume takes her up into the sky, solidifies into the moon, but then it falls 25 years ago, because that's when Kaan is able to start collecting the pieces to put them back together. So I think that that's correct, but, you know, obviously reach out, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just... I mean, get yourself a man that'll wait 125 years for you while putting together the microscopic puzzle pieces of your fallen dragon to show you later. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When he
Literally
shows
perfect.
her, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
Yep.
What was one trope that you didn't like?
Good luck.
Anything?
I loved it all.
I know.
Could you think of anything?
I just put power hungry men always.
mean, yeah.
That's what I put.
Yeah.
But it's like we have to have villains
Yeah.
here. And in this case, it's Kaan's brothers
Yeah.
and father. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, of course.
Yeah.
Piece of crap. You're a piece of crap.
Yeah, for sure.
You're the worst.
Yep.
And then what about a microtrope that you liked or didn't like?
Different dragon breeds. That was cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's one of my favorite parts about it. So cool. And then I really liked the lark letters. Like those were so fun.
Yeah, like the little
Like when the friggin'
Like you just-
letter came to was it Sevra, the sister, when she was in disguise, and then luckily it was blank. I'm like, oh no.
Oh yeah. Vea.
Vea.
Yeah.
I don't know. My brain switches it. Yeah. That was so
I know. I was like,
scary.
oh thank God.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, what's the luck that, like, out of all the people that you could, like, glamour yourself as, you end up glamoring yourself as the freaking mistress of the king / the one carrying his illegitimate baby?
Hey,
I'm like, come on.
I'm sure it's
that's
gonna be.
bad luck.
It'll be useful to have that information though. So is it bad luck? I don't know.
It will.
Also, I remember the first time I read that first lark that was coming to her, and the note would say, "I need you." So like once you find out who she is and who Kaan is, and knowing he was sending those out to her, and they were getting to her.
Well, see, okay, so that confused me because this is the way that I read it, rereading it.
Okay.
The way that I read it, rereading it, is because she wrote, I need you on it. Or that's what it says, right? It says, I need you. She returned it to sender using its magic because she was like, you need to go back to from whence you came. It goes back to Princess Kazari. She gets it in the dungeon when
see, I already had it planned in my mind. It's the other way. Yeah, okay, but see,
so who sent that? Kazari sent that, presumably as maybe just like a therapeutic exercise to her dead mother, right? Like she's thinking like, I need you, and sends it off into the universe, but Raeve gets it because she's alive.
Yeah.
That's the way that I'm getting chills right now because like that's the way that I read it the second time.
Yeah.
And
You're
again,
right. You're
like
right.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. Like so crazy.
So unique magical items would be my microtrope that I
your
love.
microtrope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put elemental powers.
Yeah.
I love, because we see elemental powers a lot, I feel like, in fantasy in different ways, shapes, and forms. But the way that it was done in this book, it not only made sense, but it was like they can wield those actual elements, but they can also speak with the gods who are creating them. And I felt like that was really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
So the elemental powers were definitely one of my favorite, like, microtrope kind of specifics.
Yeah.
All right, Ash, what was your favorite part? Pick one.
Everything. I struggled. I sat there thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I love this part. I love this part. I love this part. Everything. So sue me.
Yeah. So sue me. Do you have anything that you want to shout out specifically?
Everything we've already talked about. Like all the different types of dragons and how they're intertwined into society and they're all intrinsic. The moons, like how freaking cool, like the world building, obsessed with the relationships and how they're navigating all of this trauma and freaking Raeve being a badass, like everything about it. That's why
I know. I love
it's like satisfying when you reread a fantasy and you love it the same, if not more, than the first time. Because sometimes you think, oh, maybe I was delusional, especially when you hear some people don't like it or people that you have things in common with and they don't like it. And you're like, well, maybe I was a little delulu and I don't know. And then I read it, I'm like, no, this is incredible. No wonder I didn't stop thinking about it because I love this. So
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I put my favorite parts were revealing her moon plume that he's been putting back together.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Her spending a month in the cabin by herself.
Yeah. Dreams.
Loved that. That was so...
Goals.
Well, and also just so important.
Yeah.
Because it shows, I think, along this whole journey, not that he hasn't had many years to, like, think this over, okay?
Yeah.
But Kaan being able to expose her to the things necessary for her to discover who she really is, he's, like, leading her there without being, overly intense about it or, like, overt. And I think her time in the cabin was really important because it showed that he knew she was there.
Yeah.
They were aware of where she was and that she was still in his kingdom, and he let her have her month to herself to literally just live her life for the first time ever, feeling somewhat safe and just being able to exist without having to, like, literally fight for her life on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I thought, and just kind of, like, heal a little bit. And I think that it showed a lot about his character too, and just kind of, like, his strategy this whole time. And so I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved her monster, her freaking biting off Rexaros's finger and then waking up from her blackout with, like, his freaking tendon between her teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, gross,
Oh,
but, like, so good.
Yeah. Yep.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Vea finding the diary at the end and realizing that this was a whole plan that Raeve had to keep them safe.
Yeah.
From, their evil father and brother. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Top tier. So many favorite. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on,
exactly.
but those were the ones that, like, stood out in my mind to me that I was like, they're just, like, top tier moments for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about, did you have a least favorite part?
Okay, I mean, again, because if we have to say something that sucks, I mean, the Elowen's family being poisoned and then she's stolen and has to deal with all of those lies and deceits. So sad, so brutal. Don't love it, but gotta have it. Like,
yeah. Otherwise, you have no story,
Yeah, exactly.
right? It's like so important. Yeah, I mean, obviously it sucks, but so important. I put the only thing I could come up with that wasn't, like, literally just, like, integral to the plot was I just had a really hard time, and it might have been the audio, I don't know, but, like, when they're at the Jakul clan and they're fighting to the death, and freaking Kaan saws that guy's head off while he's still alive.
yeah.
And then holds it up for her, and I was like, I was like, that was. I read horror, and that was graphic for me. Like, I had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is that, like, Sarah Parker's writing is so insanely good that you feel like you're, like, there watching it.
Yeah.
So hey, that's good. But at the same time, I was like, oof, that was a lot. It was brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Yep.
I just put here cutting off heads.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Raeve your favorite character? Or are you throwing us a curveball here?
What did I put? Let's see. Yeah, favorite character. Although flawed, she is a badass. And also Kaan. Kaan is a favorite character because he's willing at the end of the day to let her go, no matter how brutal it is for him. But at least he knows she's alive. You know, I don't think he will let her go, but he will do it if he needs to. I mean, he says it, but then he's like, well, I'm not going to let you go. But like, I will. But like, please don't make me.
Well, it's a good balance because it's like, imagine if he was just like, okay, whatever. Like that would feel very like.
But I also don't want him to be possessive of her either. So great balance. Exactly. Yeah. Great, well-balanced MMC.
That's what I put too. It's like Raeve, for me, was likable from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, finding out that she was trained with Vaya as one of the like highest elite warriors makes complete sense now, right? Yeah, so it's like Raeve, love her, she's amazing. Her one-liners, her like the digs she would take at Kaan cracked me up the second time reading it because I was like, dude, this guy's got the patience of a freaking saint, man.
Yeah.
Like, she says the shittiest stuff to him, and he's just, like, moves on past it, you know what I mean? Like, clenches his jaw and grits his teeth and moves on, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I love Kaan as well for all of the reasons that you said. He's the perfect blend of, you know, he's this insanely strong, gifted warrior. He wields two elements. He, you know, is the most dominant of this like Jakul clan. He's a king. He drives the biggest dragon. He drives the biggest dragon.
Drives the biggest truck.
Literally, like he is like the epitome of masculinity.
Yeah.
And is yet the most kind and emotionally intelligent human being.
Yeah. Totally.
And the balance there is, it's like, we were joking about, like, funny, you know, things that we could say that I don't know, just, like, little sayings or whatever. And we were just talking about, like, when freaking Ryan Gosling just says, what does he say? He says superb. Is that what he says in Barbie?
I think so, yes. Superb. Supreme.
Supreme. It's like, that's what I want to yell. It's just like, supreme. Like, every time. It's like, he's literally, like, the best, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like Sarah Parker, like, took every quality and put it into Kaan in a way that is also not cringy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're talking about a man that, you know, yearns.
Not in an annoying way.
But dude yearns.
Yeah.
Big time. Because, come on.
Big
you know,
yearns.
It's like, big yearns. But, like, not in a weird way. Not in a cringy, weird way at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for that reason, I would say, the main characters both are my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And your least?
I mean, it's got to go to Wreck, obviously. The cowboy, dragon cowboy.
Dude, his accent. That's the thing, his accent in the audiobook. I was like, this guy, it was the worst, but at the same time, it fits.
Yeah, because I'm like, he's very cowboy. It's very like light Matthew McConaughey LT. Like a light Matthew McConaughey voice. Maybe because I was on like 2 times speed, but it just had that perfect little McConaughey twang. But then I'm like, but I like Matthew McConaughey's voice, so don't make me like you. But like, I was expecting a little bit gruffer, I think.
I was expecting gruffer too, but it's almost like we hate Rex so much that it's like, if he had a stupid voice, it would make perfect sense.
So there you go.
You know?
He was terrible but as a reread, I delighted in every interaction she had with him, or we just had with him, of anybody, because I knew what was coming to him and I knew how good it was. And it was just as good the second time.
It's such a satisfying revenge arc there.
Yeah.
He gets everything he deserves.
Yeah.
And more.
Fire poker and all.
Yep. Fire poker. Yeah, literally. Okay, Ash, so do you have some quotes that you would like to share with the group today?
Do I ever?
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
We'll have to whittle it down, you know, because we can't keep them here all day. So. He's fire and brimstone, I'm shattered ice. Our collision is steam and destruction, destined to dissipate, but I'll gladly burn beneath him until the world comes crumbling down.
Yeah, all the time. So good.
What did we tell you guys? What did we tell you?
This one was a heavy hitter, and it was one I didn't pick up in the first read, okay? And it's like one of Kaan's one-liners. And he just says to her, I'm half dead already, bleeding out at your feet. Can't you see?
Oh.
That's when she's like threatening to basically like shiv him. You know what I mean? She's like, I'm going to kill you. And he's like, I'm dead already. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, like I read it the second time and I was like, that's so sad because he's been waiting for her for so long.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh, okay. Survival's funny. Some wear it like a whisper, others like a scream. Mine's a scorched skeleton of flame-forged rage that keeps me upright, keeps me moving forward.
Yep, I have that one next. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, very relatable, I'd say. I once knew a female who'd cry when it rained, though she thought I never noticed. He murmurs against my ear, his dense words battling the torrent of mournful cries like a boom of thunder. Her name was Eluin.
Yes.
It's so good.
I have a similar one. So it's, I don't know which one was before or after, but I once knew a female who died tragically, whose lifeless body was sailed into the sky by the adoring beast at your back with my torn out heart in her freaking fist. I have a child in the room, so I'm going to censor
bleeping
myself.
it, yeah.
Yeah. He rasps, lifting his hand into a claw that he shakes in my face. Her name was Eluin, again, and she laughed with the wind, cried with the rain. She angered with fire and bellowed with the ground.
Just the way he talks about her, she's just so revered. It's like, yeah. Chase death, moonbeam, and I pray your bloodlust brings you the same sense of peace I feel just knowing you exist.
Exactly. Okay, this will be the last one.
Okay.
I'm done living the life I've been told to live and not the one I want for myself.
With his beast at my back, so she's talking about, obviously, Rhaegon, his dragon. With his beast at my back and this massive, impenetrable male at my front, I should feel small. I don't. He's only ever made me feel vast, mighty even, and perhaps he's right.
Yeah. Ah! Okay.
Yeah. This one, sorry, I have to give one more. More.
That's fine. I'll allow it.
She's probably picturing me on my knees, and perhaps that should bother me. It doesn't. I'd spend eternity looking up at her if she'd only fucking let me. It's like, this man. Come on. If you guys aren't on the Kaan train, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yep.
So, speaking of that, Ash, how was the spice? You got anything to say about it?
It's very good. It was very good
Very
indeed.
good. It was, top tier spice. You know, this is the only book that I've read by Sarah Parker. And, you know, obviously I know a lot of you guys have read To Bleed a Crystal Bloom and that trilogy. And it just makes me want to read that even more because I'm like, I've been wanting to get around to it forever. And I'm like, come on, I bet the spice in that is excellent too. And I think that one starts off, if I remember correctly, as almost like a Rapunzel retelling.
Oh, I gotta get to it. It's the original indie one is sitting right up there waiting for me. I just saw the new ones in Target recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Those are pretty too. I actually really like those too.
Yeah.
I know.
Sometimes I buy the indies just in case they like dole them down because sometimes they do. Sometimes indies are better. Sometimes the traditionals, you know, republished are better.
Both
it's hard to say. It's a risk.
Yeah.
Anytime it gets announced, I'm like, okay, buy that one just in case. Yeah.
But yeah, the spice was great. This is a perfect example. You know, if you guys heard us, yapping for 10,000 billion years about the Plated Prisoner series and about how all of the spice is intentionally written to move, either to develop the characters in such a way, to move the plot forward, to reveal things about the characters, etc. It's like there's so much in the spice, and it's just beautifully written in general. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Top tier. Infinity Star Spice. Agreed.
Yeah.
Can't wait for more in book 2.
Yeah.
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 And obviously, we'll both read the sequels. We'll read anything. At this point, it's like all about time. If like literally, if Sarah Parker writes it, I'll read it. I just need the time to do so because all of her books are very long. So it's like,
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy. With even Carissa Broadbent, we haven't finished. We didn't start the last one, and she's already coming out with another one this fall. And I'm like, oh no, I want to read all the things, but we're on a time issue.
Well, it's not just a time issue. It's like we already read more books than most people. It's just that there's only so many things you can read in a month. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. It's like literally just a time game at this point. It's like, hey, how about I'm on a deserted island with just Sarah A. Parker books? How about that?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
What a bummer. I'm just kidding. Not at all. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely we'll be reading the sequels and in any time we have her other books as well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have anything else that you wanted to just mention about why this book in particular like stands out, especially as like a quote unquote dragon book?
It was all those things. So it was all those things. See previous, 194 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like it's just, it was just a very unique and interesting take on dragon lore. While they're very important to the story, I feel like everything else was just as important to the story. It's like the elemental gods piece and like obviously like all of the political scheming piece and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel like there was I didn't feel like we were slighted. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes people add dragons and it's like, that's what everything becomes about the dragons and it's kind of gimmicky almost. I feel like never did it feel like that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like everything else was top tier and the dragons themselves were like super unique and interesting too. So very happy with all of that. And just to kind of dive a little very briefly into the reviews. Honestly, this is crazy to me. Okay, listen.
I'm bracing myself.
Well, it gets a 3.99, which isn't excellent, but isn't terrible. So very, not where it should be, in our opinion, obviously, as both of us rated it Infinity Stars. Okay, so if you like this book, go give it a rating on Goodreads. But what I was shocked about was not just that. What I was shocked is that there's only 315,070 reviews of When the Moon Hatched. And it's been out for quite a while at this point. So to me, that is not enough ratings of this book.
Yeah.
At all. And so that also just tells me that like not enough people are reading this book.
So on Audible, it also doesn't have a lot. 5,713 ratings. Gets a 4.3. So, some people don't love the narrators. I will say I really liked the female narrator, Sarah Molo Christensen, if this is the same one that I did. I thought she did a great job. Honestly, I don't love the male narrator for the male characters. Like we talked about Wreck, I kind of grew on me. I didn't love the main. I just darker, gruffer, deeper. I think I would have preferred. Oh, sorry, throw Anthony Palmini in there. Come on.
Well, I struggled. I struggled with the male narrator because you can tell from some of the other voices that he does have a deep, gruff voice and could have made Kaan's voice sound like that, but didn't. And so I think that's what I struggled with because it was almost like, because obviously this accent is one that neither of the narrators, like they both added it in. I don't think either of them have an accent. And so it sounded a lot more natural on like Vera, for instance, or Vea, for instance, But like with Kaan, it felt a little bit forced to me. And I almost wish that he would have like not played the accent up as much and maybe just made his voice a little bit deeper and more gruff. I feel like that would have balanced it better. better because we know that he can do that because he did all of the male character voices and some of them sounded that way.
Well, this is interesting. I pulled up Ballad of Falling Dragon Audible releasing with the book release. Sarah's still doing the female, but there is also other people cast, much like West of Wicked that we just listened to.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's in there as well as other people. So we do have 4 new people added to it. I mean, the same guy's probably still doing it, so we'll see. But I can hold hope in a pretend world that he made his voice darker and gruffer.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe. Like, because it's been a while, and, like, I feel like audiobook narrators, just like everyone else, do evolve based on experience and feedback and all that kind of stuff. Because I didn't have an issue with his voice. I liked it. I thought he had a good voice. I just felt like the way that he chose to play Kaan just didn't match the character fully. So it wasn't enough to pull me out of the story, but I feel like he could have like played it up a little bit more. So hopefully he does. Do you have any lore that you wanted to share or any Easter eggs that you wanted to share?
Well, I mean, there's probably so much.
Yeah.
Family lineage. What else did she lose in her memories? There's some spans in there that we can't really account for. Like you said, you're kind of unclear of how long she was up in the sky as a moon. So there's so much more, I think, that will be unfolding in the future books. Mm-hmm. And it makes my head spin. In a good way, though.
Yeah. I feel like rereading this, there was definitely like a lot, there was a lot of lore for the world that was important just about like, how the dragons got up there in the first place, how many moonfalls they've had. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Callus. I don't know how you say his name, but the god who lives inside the Aether Stone. Like, what's going to happen with him? Because that's going to become a major issue. Like, literally, if the princess is really in love with him and then sets him free, like, what is that going to mean?
Literally.
Obviously, we have everything going on with this secret brother, the secret 4th brother. Like, that's crazy as well. So it's like, there's a lot going on because obviously he's holding the princess hostage. She has the Aether Stone. He wants to take Kaan down. Is he going to come back and kill him? Like, or try to,
It's just really, why do they have to have the Aether Stone? Are they just suppressing them? Because sure does feel like it,
Yeah.
Like, is he entrapped there for a good reason? Or were they just fed lies? That's what it feels like.
Totally.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it says, let's see. Yeah, it literally says that the myth of the Aether Stone has become a scrambled myth passed around campfires or sung to babes to hush their fussing cries. So it's like, this happened 5 million phases ago. So it's like, I'm sure most people don't even have any idea of what like actually happened.
Yeah.
Like for real. So like, why are the moons falling? Like, why did that start? Like, what does that mean? Yeah. So there's just so many unanswered questions. And we get a lot of hints in the form of lore or Easter eggs, but nothing that is like nothing that's bothering me because it's unanswered. Like, it's all supposed to be unanswered, and like we'll hopefully get a lot of those in the next one for sure.
Yeah. I think we're going to go into the next book and be like, oh, duh, like, or oh my gosh, or here, connection, click, like, that we're going to be like, that's what that was. So, yeah.
Well, it's like, what exactly is a firelark other than the fact that she can wield the 4 elements? Okay, we know that, but there has to be more to it than that.
Yeah.
And not very much has been revealed about it. So, and it's like just everything, all the pieces are like fitting together. I never saw it coming that like there would be the secret brother who's like literally even more evil, or is he evil, or is there more to the story also? So there's that. Like, obviously he shouldn't be keeping the princess in a dungeon, but like, was he wronged by these other brothers or the dad as well? Like, is he going to join the rebellion? We don't know anything.
Where's everybody's story is going to unfold.
Yeah.
We're already getting multiple POVs, so we're going to get even more, I think.
I know. I love it.
Like, buckle up.
Buckle up. It's going to be a tough one for me, but I love it, so I'll do it happily.
Yeah.
Happily and gratefully. Okay, well, do you have any other things that you wanted to bring up or cover, like, before we, close this chapter and get ready for the next few weeks? the new one to come out.
I'm so excited. I'm so glad I did the reread. And I just love it, like I said, the same, if not more. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. You guys, we hope that this brought you some bit of refresh and recap. And if you still have more questions, if you have time and you haven't done a reread, try the Audible. Even though we didn't love the main guy, like, still try it.
In my notes, I literally have, like you can see right here, that's just the list of characters. So I don't even know how many that is, but like, it's just, there's so many moving parts that are going on right now. It just blows my mind. But hopefully I included enough in the summaries to where it's like, that can give you guys a refresher if you don't want to do the full thing with all the pertinent information. But yeah, I mean,
that's a summary that I'll go back to because I think there's, I don't know how many are supposed to be in this series, but
I don't know either. That's a good question. Yeah.
I can't reread every single time one of these fantasy books comes out. So that recap, re-summary, even though I just finished reading it, it even helps me like put it all concisely more
together.
So the different timelines. So
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped me when I was going back through and like reading it all.
Yeah. Totally.
So, all right. So do you have a smash or pass to wrap this up?
I did a dragon theme. So Mulan has her little dragon, small guy. Mushu.
Yeah. Pass as like a smash, but like smash as a friend, sidekick.
And a sidekick. Yeah. Same answer.
Yeah. He's a little annoying, kind of, honestly. Like, I will admit, he's like a little annoying, but that's also because I get overstimulated easily. So like the perfect sidekick for me would be more of like on the level of like a Pascal, for example.
Yeah, we love a good Pascal.
Yeah. A little bit less like intense and whatever, but yeah, no, as a friend and a sidekick for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, so mine is about When the Moon Hatched because it's about two characters that we didn't talk a whole lot about, but that I'm thinking are going to become a lot more important in book 2. So you have to choose between Pyrock, who is kind of like our, kind of like our comic relief, right? A little bit. And Grimm, who's about to get ready to go out there and hunt his own dragon egg.
Let's go with Pyrock.
You're going to go with Pyrock? Why?
Yep.
I'm curious.
Because he's chill. And Brody and chill. Not Brody, but like big. And like, gruff but chill.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with Grimm. Because, surprise. Because I love a good mystery man, right? He's a man of so few words that every time he talks, his voice crackles. And I'm like, okay, that's how we know that the freaking audiobook narrator can pull that out if he needs to. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Loved his character, loved his voice, loved that he's like, I've got to do this because you can tell that he's got like a very like tortured past. And I'm hoping that it means that he becomes a really important character in book 2, like in a good way and not in like a he turns to the dark side kind of way. Because I feel like that his character could go either way at this point.
Ooh, we'll see. We'll see. See if she changes her answer with the next one.
I know.
Ooh.
I mean, or is he a villain, but in a good way? I don't know. We'll just have to see. All right.
Can't wait.
Well, I can't wait either. I'm super excited. I get to dive into Rights of the Starling now, like in like full. I get to go fully in since we are also deep diving that soon. So I'm so excited.
Yes, and that was crazy to reread. Also, I missed so much. I feel like I missed less, not missed, but forgot about.
You mean in
like
Shield of Sparrows?
In Shield of Sparrows, there was so much I didn't remember. Almost the whole thing. So. Yeah, that was great. I'm so glad I reread both of these. It was awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to this When the Moon Hatched recap, summary, vibe chat, all the things. We hope that this was helpful for you. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcasts, including YouTube. We're Besties in the Books podcast everywhere, including Instagram and TikTok. And you guys, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.